Hi,
Hey, hi Ellie, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, feeling excited for today's conversation.
Me too. Well, we're back with another conversation about parent coaching. And just a quick introduction, I'm Ellie Knott, and this is,
I'm Betty Arteaga.
and we are your parent coaches. So today we want to have a little conversation about what parent coaching is. We're going to address some of the misconceptions, some of the questions that we've been hearing a lot of parents have about parent coaching, and really kind of lay out what the process looks like and the kind of transformation that it can bring about for your families. And
Yes,
so,
definitely.
yeah, so just to start, we're going to talk about what is parent coaching because it's something that a lot of people haven't heard of. And we have, fitness coaches, we have business coaches, we have life coaches, we have all these different coaches. But parent coaching is not a term that a lot of people have heard yet.
Yeah.
So, the main the main gist of what we do is we're supporting parents to show up as the parent that they want to be. And there's a lot that goes into how we do that. There's a curriculum piece where, we've been certified by the Jai Institute of Parenting. And so they have an amazing curriculum that we use where parents are getting to learn about topics like brain development, the nervous system, emotional intelligence, boundaries, boundary setting, communication. And then you're also getting that piece to work with a coach where you're getting really individualized, tailored coaching that's going to be set up to be what you need and what's going on with your life. So that we can actually like combine all of the facts that we're learning with your unique family, what's important to you. And I kind of like to think of it as this space where you really get to write your own manual, like your own parenting handbook. Because everybody says, you come home, you leave the hospital with this baby, and they just send you with this baby, and there's no manual, and they don't tell you what to do. And
They
it's so,
trust
so
that we're
true.
gonna go and take care of it. It's like, this is mine now. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people wish they had a parenting handbook. And, there's no way to just, write a handbook and sell it on Amazon because it would never work for every family. So parent coaching allows you to write your own manual, write your own story, and then show up as the parent that you want to be.
Yes, and I love that you mentioned all the different type of coaches that we are normally hearing about. And even though what we do is different in the sense that we're working straight with parents, and it's an area that we haven't been in, during history we haven't been told, yes, you should get somebody to help you how to become the best parent that you are. I think that what we have in common with other coaches is that a coach, doesn't matter if it's a sport or if it's a fitness coach, they ask you, what do you want to get from this? So we
Mm-hmm.
get your vision, and then they evaluate you where you are, and then the coach is the one that is going to help you tailor a plan to get to your vision. But it's always about action steps, right? We're not staying in this place that we are. We have a place where we're going, and then your coach is the person that is gonna walk with you in this path, and it's gonna teach you new techniques, right? If it's a basketball coach, you might want to hold the ball a little different, or bend your knees a little different. In this case, we're teaching you how to see the situation maybe from a different perspective. What can you do next time that you're going to explode because you're too overwhelmed? And we make a plan for those parts, right? We make a plan for the game. the game the game in this case is the real day-to-day activities that you do at home and with your kids and at work, and how you blend it all. And your coach comes in with those tools that you need to be successful in that journey.
I really like how you said it's the time that we get to make a plan.
Hmm.
Because everything else in life we make a plan for, right? You probably made a plan for, oh well, when do I want to buy a house, and when are we getting married? When do we want to have a kid, or when do I want to shift my career path? Right? We make plans for all of these huge things in life, And even if we planned when we wanted to have kids, it doesn't necessarily mean that we actually planned how we wanted to show up as a parent. And so it's really hard to show up the way you want to if you're just trying to do it in that split second, in that moment where your kid is crying, where your kid is having a tantrum, or they're, pushing your buttons, they're pushing the boundaries. It's really hard to do it. We can't have that happening and then also like construct this big plan in our heads at that very moment. We need that time where we're away from our children, we're in a calm space, and we have the time to make the plan. Once we make the plan, then we can enact it in those crazy moments of parenting.
Mhm. And I will say that some people actually made a plan when they were gonna have kids, right?
Yeah.
As we talked in our episode before, you don't have kids just yet, but I know that in the future you may want to, and I know that you might have a vision of what you want to be as a parent. I think we all have that moment when we are in a restaurant and the kids are jumping around in the other table, and we're saying, "When I am a parent, when I have kids, I'm not gonna be like that." It could also be something the way that we saw our parents raise us. And we say, when I'm a parent, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be a different kind of parent. And that is the start of the vision. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that what happens when we get in there, like when we get into the actual real world of now we're parents, is that this is something I call we go to our factory settings. And in
Mm-hmm.
those moments, I feel like we forget the parent that we want it to be. We forget our plan and our vision because we are in reaction mode. And then what we do, what our brain does, is our brain knows that we need to survive this moment. So, what is the last thing that I know somebody did in this situation? And most of the time, that's our parents or our caregivers, how they reacted in moments like this. And that's what our brain is gonna bring up, and that's what's gonna show up. I think with the
Mm-hmm.
parent coaching, you're taking the brave step of saying, if I want to show up the way that I imagine me being as a parent, then I need a plan for when something happens. I know how I want to respond, instead of leaving it to your brain, to your nervous system in that moment, trying to survive and react.
Yeah. Yeah. So parent coaching is really creating that roadmap that gets you to your dream parenting scenario and like your dream parenting goals of how you want to be.
Yeah, and now that we talked about, and I mentioned about our parents and the way that we were raised, and we mentioned, about the stressors or things that we might have in the day to day. A question that I have a lot from people is, how is this different than going to therapy? I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest question, right? Like, I already go to therapy, or I've been to therapy. I know why
Mm-hmm.
I act the way I act. I know why I'm yelling when I'm yelling. What makes parent coaching different? What would you say to them?
Yeah. So it almost feels like parent coaching might be the next step if you've worked with a therapist. Also, you don't need to have worked with a therapist to work with a parent coach. Um, but when we're in parent coaching, we will take a look at some of those past events from your own childhood and from maybe earlier in your parenting journey. But we're going to do it from a space of reflection and a space of actually gaining compassion and understanding for ourselves.
Mhm.
We want to be able to accept the way that we showed up, accept the way our parents showed up. Not that that means, we don't necessarily need to be proud of it or love it, but we can accept it enough that we can move on. And so we're actually using it as this like reflection and mirror to see, okay, how did these things in the past, how are they showing up now in my parenting? And do I want those past events to influence my parenting this way now? Or do I want to do it differently? And when we look at it and you have a coach to help reflect with you and help you dig a little bit deeper, you're able to process through that, accept yourself, not judge yourself for the things that have happened in the past so that you actually can let it go and be like, okay, now I'm going to take these little baby steps to bit by bit start showing up the way I want to show up. And it's not going to be perfect, right? It's not an overnight change, which is why the program that we coach parents through is 12 weeks long, right? Because when we can do it bit by bit and we have that accountability over those 3 months, by the end of the 3 months, then we do have this really big transformation that happens.
Yeah, and I can speak from my experience and my story. When I started, I've been to therapy many times. Like I don't think my problem or my issue it was a lack of understanding of why am I acting this way. I knew that I'm this strict because my mom might have not been as strict as I felt I needed her to be, right? And I knew how I was as a kid and the things and the mistakes that I made as a teenager. And now I'm seeing my daughter go through that, and I don't want her to make the same mistakes. And I had an understanding of where all the things were coming from, but how do we change our relationship? Because
Mm-hmm.
understanding where it was coming from did not help me in the moments where I'm having a power struggle with my kid, and we're bickering, and I'm yelling and then feeling horrible about myself afterwards because I knew that's not the mom that I wanted to be. So the
Mm-hmm.
understanding, and yes, the therapy was there, and I had already started like cleaning up, making space for a new version of me. But in reality, I did not have the guidance that I needed to be like, okay, so you don't want to do this. I know I don't want to react this way, but how do I find the way to react a different way?
Mm-hmm.
How do I see this situation from a different perspective so I'm not always thinking that my kid is doing this just to mess up with me, or just to be difficult. And those, I think that's what made it different for me, and that's what clicked when I
Mm-hmm.
started this program myself and in my family, because parent coaching is a lot about action. You build this momentum. Yes, you're learning so many tools, and if you're a nerd like me and love neuroscience, you're gonna have tons of fun, right? Because you get to see the brain, and then how your nervous system works and what gets activated and what not. But at the same time, you get to see it in action. You get to put it
Mm-hmm.
out there. You get to observe it in real life. Because now when I'm looking at my kid and I'm seeing her having a meltdown, for example, I know she's having a hard time. She's not trying for me to have a hard time. She's having a hard time. And
Yeah.
I can see from her body language when her nervous system gets activated now, because I'm paying attention to those things. And I would have never been able to do that just with the therapy part.
Mm-hmm.
I needed this coaching component in there for me to be able to move on from what I already knew needed, so a little upgrade, right, and move forward to where I want it to be.
Yeah. And I think one of the big differences between coaching and therapy is that coaching has this big education piece. And I feel like that helps parents really become empowered in making their own choices. And in, like you said, being able to see what you're learning with yourself, you're also able to see it reflected in your children. Whereas therapy is a lot more focused just on us, right? And you might be getting a little, little bits of education for your therapist that, depends on who you're working with and what kind of therapy. But this is much more kind of well rounded, I would
Mhm.
say, might be a good way to
Yeah.
describe it.
I agree. I agree. I think it's the missing piece, the missing component that most people haven't tried yet as to move forward and actually make progress. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we can stay a lot, we can, stay a little too comfortable in the understanding why we are the way we are, and
Yeah.
then we don't find a path forward.
Yeah. So this is that
And
push forward.
yes, the push forward that we all need. And when now that you said, it's that push forward, the big question, are you gonna tell me how to raise my kids?
Yeah. No, we're not.
Right?
That wasn't my answer. That
Yeah,
is the
right.
big
That's the question
question.
that we get all the time.
Nobody wants to be told what to do, and parent coaches aren't going to tell you what to do. And funny enough, I've had clients sitting with me and they're like, well, what do I do in this situation? And I can't tell you. I can't tell you what to do. I can help you find the answer, right? And I'm your guide. I'm going to lead you to what answer feels really good for you, what is like in alignment. And when you find this answer, you're like, oh, that makes sense. It's kind of like this little release and this breath where you're like, oh yeah, that's okay. I can see myself doing that. That feels like that will work. But if I were to sit there and say, yeah, do this, you'd probably be like, oh, no thanks. And so sometimes parents think they want someone to tell them what to do in a certain situation. But we just can't. We can't, because you're the expert of your children and your family and of yourself as a parent, right?
Yes, definitely. I think that every family and every person, every parent have their own values. Each
Mm-hmm.
household is very different from one another. And the things that I value might not be the things that you do. And with that, I feel like every parent, we have the answer within ourselves. It's just that we have so many other should I not? What would other people think? What will my mom, my grandma, like all of these other parts that are talking in our head? It happens to me a lot when we're making a decision. And with parent coaching, you're looking inward in a way that helps you align with who you are. And when
Mm-hmm.
you're in alignment with who you are, and when you have your values forefront, right? You know what is that you want to transmit to your kids. At the end of the day, when they leave the house, you know the things that you want them to carry with them. So when you discover and bring to front the things that are truly important to you as a parent, then it becomes a lot easier to figure out what to do in those moments. Because like you mentioned, nobody knows your kid like you do. At the end of the day, you could poll 100 people what to do in this situation. And I see it online all the time. I'm in some mom groups, and they will write, this is what happened, what's happening. Can I please get some advice? And you will see 100 comments, right? And everybody have a different answer of
Mm-hmm.
what to do. And I always want to comment. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, but I always want to comment. What is your heart telling you to do?
Yeah.
Right? What is that little voice that it's you? Because we have different voices in our head, but there's always one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the true self, right? And what is that little voice telling you that's right?
Yeah.
What's the decision that is going to help you sleep at night knowing that as a parent you did your best? Not maybe the
Yeah.
right thing, but that you did your best. And that's the little voice that we're going to hear, and that's the little voice that's going to make the decision, right, of what's right for your kid and your family.
And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, what voice? All I hear is
Oh,
everyone else's voices in my head. That's really, really normal. It's so normal. And that voice is in there. You've just been kind of shutting it down for so long that you can't hear it right now, but it's still there. And a coach can help you bring that voice back out.
yes, definitely. I love that you said that because it's so true. Like when we help our clients kind of silence everything else and be more attuned with themselves, you see it. Like you
Yeah.
can you can see the change in a parent that's confident, because it's not about showing up in parenting. It's not about showing up in authority. Sometimes we think that's how we need to show up, right? We are the boss. It's showing in confidence, because when you are a confident parent, that leadership comes with it. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have kids that actually listen to us because they trust us, not because they have to, not because they're gonna get in trouble. It's because they trust you. And the only way somebody else can trust you is, as deep as you trust yourself. So
That's
finding that
very
voice,
true.
right?
Very
Finding
true.
that
And
voice,
I
confidence
think,
in yourself. Mm.
yeah, I think a lack of confidence and lack of trust in yourself is so common right now. And it makes sense because we have all this social media. We have like so much media and so much bombarding us all the time that it kind of pushes out what we feel is really important, or it just gets all tangled and it's hard to figure out, wait, is this my idea or did I just see this somewhere and do I even believe it? Do I even like that idea? I don't know. And it just kind of gets all mangled up. So parent coaching is a space where we can sit, we can focus, and we really can figure it out. And your coach is there to hold that space for you, like we talked about in our last conversation, if you missed it, to hold the space for you, to reflect back what we're seeing. Sometimes you can be saying things and you don't actually realize what you're saying until someone says it back to you. And that can open up, make some kind of light bulb moments and make you realize, oh, that is what I want. I didn't even hear myself saying it. So little by little, we start to get that voice back and to be able to listen to that voice again, because it's there whether you realize it or not. And it will lead you to your most authentic, most confident self as a parent. And like you said, when we show up in authenticity, in confidence, in leadership with our children, they are going to feel that and they're going to choose to trust us. They're going to choose to listen to us and to work together with us. Are they going to do that every minute of every day? No, because they're children and they're learning. But on the whole, they're going to choose to more be in partnership with you, as opposed to this, like, I feel like my kid is just fighting against me all the time.
Yeah, you get a lot more collaboration that way. And now that you mentioned the fact that, not every day is going to be good, and maybe the kids are not going to show up the same every day, and you're not going to show up the same every
Mm-hmm.
day. I know for sure that even though I've done all of this, I still have my moments where I lose it. I still do. And I still have my moments where I don't react the way that I know I should have. And there we go into repair, and that's a conversation that we can have on the next one, right?
Yeah.
To get good in the repair stage, I think is very important. But when I didn't react the way that I should have, and when I might have done something that it doesn't go with the teachings that we're doing in our parenting coaching space, will my coach judge me for that?
It's such a good question. And I think a lot of people are wondering that. And it almost might be the thing that's keeping them from going out and finding a parent coach, which kind of breaks my heart because we're not judging you. We're not judging you. Like we said earlier, we're going to teach you how to and give you the space to not be judging yourself. And so, in order to do that, we're not judging you. Before every session, like I have a little mindfulness moment with myself, I get centered and I leave all of my stuff, all of my baggage, I check it at the door. It does not come into a session. A session is a totally safe space. There is no judgments because we all come from a different place. We all have different childhoods and different backgrounds and different things going on in our lives. And everyone is having a hard time, right? In some way, shape, or form. And that comes out through our actions. And that's so normal. It's so normal. And I think it's easy to forget that, especially in this age of social media where we post our highlights, right? We don't post our mistakes. We don't post the hard times. We're usually posting the highlights. And when we're seeing that from everyone else, it's easy to think, oh my gosh, I'm the only one who lost my mind and yelled at my kid today. No, you're not. Everybody else did. But they posted the cute picture of like the picnic in the park. They didn't post the picture of the aftermath of the picnic where everyone
Or
was losing their
before
minds.
getting the kids out of
Yeah,
the door for the picnic?
yeah, exactly. So we're not judging you. Nothing good happens when we judge. And it's also really important to remember that judging is a really natural thing that our brains want to do. And so while it's something that, we practice not judging and we practice like taking this time not to judge, it's still going to pop up every now and then, right? For ourselves on our parenting journey. Um, but when we remember the reason that our brain wants to judge is truly to keep us safe, right? If we go back to the core of our brains and just our humanness, we judge because we're trying to judge, oh, is this safe or is this not safe at the end of the day, right? When we maybe judge our children and think, oh my gosh, that's terrible. I can't believe they're doing that. It's because we have a fear of something isn't safe there at the core when we really dig deeper, dig deeper. So remembering that if we do have a judgment come up into our brain, it's just our brains trying to make sense of things, trying to make sure everything's safe. And it can come up and then we can just say, No thanks. Go away, judgment. I don't need you right now. We are safe.
Mhm.
And so that's what we practice as coaches, and then that's what we teach you to practice while we're working with you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also it's the fact um that with this work comes a lot of braveness.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we like to say in the first session, right, that we are creating not only a safe space but a brave space for parenting. And I understand the fear of being judged as a parent. I think that's one of the things that stopped me the most, not even from getting a parenting coach, just to talking about it with my friends, with my mom, with the people that were close to me. Like, how are they gonna react? What are they gonna think of me when I say all, the things that I'm doing, that I know maybe I'm not showing as my best self as a mom. And I recognize that in the clients, right, in the parents that we work with, that you are already taking a really brave step just by getting in contact with us, and we recognize
Absolutely.
that, right? So we receive you as you come, and we're welcoming your authentic self, whoever that is at that moment, because
Mm-hmm.
we are not there to be like, you should be at this, or you should have done this other part. We are here to see where you really are at this moment,
Yeah.
and how can we help you get to where you want to go. But
Mm-hmm.
in those moments, I can understand that parenting comes with a lot of shame, and that shame is what brings that feeling of I'm going to be judged, because like you mentioned, we judge ourselves a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I will ask for all of the parents that are listening to this, that if that's the thought that's coming to your mind, like, this person is gonna come here and judge me and tell me all of the ways that I'm doing this wrong, to know that there's a space for you here. I
Yeah.
like to call my clients, I like to call myself and my group of people, is we're the in-betweeners, right? We are this generation right in the middle, that where we are trying to still go through all of the things that the generations before us left us, and all the ways they left in our minds and in our generational patterns, that the ways they survived, and the things like they passed down, we're still going, discovering areas of us that hurt, that we didn't even know that it hurt. And then in real life right now, we are also trying to raise these kids, that we don't want to pass down all of this, right? But we also don't know how to filter all of those things out so fast, as society seems to think that we have to, right? We have to
Mm-hmm.
sort through all of these things super fast and not pass it out, and it's all so much and so confusing. And I want you to know that your community is here. There's space for us right in the middle. It's
Yeah.
that space where it might not feel as comfortable, because we're still, some days we do want to tell our kids because I said so. Some days we do want to take the chancla out. I know I was raised with the chancla, and sometimes it's like, oh, and we have to like bite our tongues, right? And sometimes we do. Sometimes we can control it, and that's where we go. That's the factory settings part. But
Mm-hmm.
we're also the parents that are trying to do things differently. We're
Yeah.
also the parents that wake up every day to find new ways to show our kids that we care, to show our
Mm-hmm.
kids that we're here. We want them to be respectful and emotionally available and have all of these great qualities. And nobody maybe gives us our credit, that we are the ones holding both sides of the spectrum.
It's
We
a
are
big
holding.
job.
Yes, it is a big job. So there's a space for you. Doesn't matter if you feel that you might be, maybe, this is like a balance, like going more old
Mm-hmm.
school than the new era, or what the gentle parenting movement is saying. No matter where you are in that middle space, we have space for you here, for you to discover on your own. where you want to go and how you want to do things.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say parenting is the most important job anyone could ever have. And why don't we have more support for it? Right? You deserve support as a parent. You deserve support in this journey. There can never be too much support.
Mhm.
There just couldn't be, because
Yeah,
this
they
is
tell you
this
that
is
it
so
takes a
important.
tribe, and I'm
It
still waiting
does.
for mine to come home. I hear
Yeah.
that a lot. Where is this tribe that everybody kept talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. So your parent coach is one piece of that tribe. And
Mhm.
hopefully you have maybe family members, or you have friends around you, or neighbors, or your school community. But yeah,
Yeah, no,
we
and
all need the support.
as you do this work, and you align more with yourself, I think that we also attract more people that are in that same set of mind. So it's like in this day and age, the tribe doesn't come to you; you have to create your tribe,
Yeah.
right? And this might be one of the first steps, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to go and hang out with these other parents because of that same judgment that we were talking about,
Yeah.
right? They that all those other parents, what are they gonna do? And then you see this other mom who's always have it together, and she's so soft-spoken, and her kid seems to always behave, and yours act like they do. They just be them. And we feel like, how am I friends with this person? But the
Mm-hmm.
more you align with your authenticity and you start accepting yourself and your family and your kids for who they are, then the more you're open to to
Yeah.
meeting other people and to just accept other parents as they are, and then you build that tribe that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have that confidence to build that tribe and to connect with those other parents. And then
Yeah.
you just get more and more support, right? It just keeps coming and coming.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know that when I mention that the kids are all over the place, right? And and the others don't, you might be thinking, yeah, those are my kids. And the problem is not me, it's them, because
Mm-hmm.
I give them the respect that they need, and I do this and I do that, and they just don't know how to act. And so if the problem is the kid, why do I need a parent coach? Right? Why
Yeah.
is it not them that need
Mm-hmm.
to go and find their way? Why is it me as a parent that I need to go and get a parent coach?
Yeah. Well, it's really this shift in perspective of the way that we show up with our kids is going to influence their behavior. So some parents might come into parent coaching think, I want to change this behavior and this behavior. You leave with so much more than that, because you're changing the way that you're showing up daily, right? In all of those little interactions. And that's going to change the way that your child responds back to you. Children are based in connection. Connection is the most important thing to them. When they come into this world as a baby, they know that connecting with their caregiver is what is going to keep them safe, right? Because as an infant, we 100% rely on our caregivers to keep us alive.
Mhm.
And if we can connect with our caregiver and make them love us, then we're going to be okay and we're going to be safe. And that doesn't just go away the second that our kids start to get a little bit older and are able to do a little bit more for themselves. That stays with them. That's hardwired in our brains. And so when we make the connection first, then the rest can fall into place.
Yeah. And talking again from my experience with my kid, I have to say that I was truly convinced that they were the problem. I'm gonna be very honest. I was truly convinced that my kids were the problem. Especially with the teenagers. I'm like, they're becoming a teenager and now they wanna talk back and now they wanna do this and they wanna do that. And I'm going to share a very vulnerable story for me, but I actually took my kid. She was going to a therapist, and I was telling them, she's depressed. She might need medication. I mean, I was up to here, and something's gotta give. So please, I don't know, give her something. She needs something, but this is too much. And after the evaluation, this therapist, and I don't know, I can't even remember her name or whatever she is. Thank you for this, because she sat me down and she said, "Mom, you might you might be the one that needs a little extra help. I see that you are at your end, at the end of the rope. I can see that you're very overwhelmed by this. And I think that you might want to reach out and talk to somebody about this." And at that moment, I was frozen in time. I didn't know if I should just dig a hole and put my head in it. I was like half offended, half like I don't know what, because I'm like, why is this person telling me that I'm the one, it's not the kid, I'm the one that needs the help? And it took a while for me to understand what she meant. It took a while for me to appreciate those words that came out of her mouth. Because when I started doing this work, I noticed a shift, right? Because anytime that my kid was pushing away and doing all of those things, that was her best attempt to say, "I need you." It might not, she didn't have the words to say it. She didn't have, consciously, she didn't know how to say that. I could even say that she didn't even know that that's what she was saying. But in the end, all she was saying is, "I need you. I need connection. I need to know that you love me no matter what. I need to know that you support me in whatever decision that I make, and that you're there for me." And the moment that I started showing up differently, then things started to change. I can even tell you that it took her a while to even believe the change. Like, she would be
Mm-hmm.
watching her back of me, like starting to gel. I even heard her having a conversation with her friend saying, "Now I get mad, and then I'm waiting for her to get mad, and then she doesn't get angry, and I don't know what to do with that." And I laugh, we laughed about it because it's true. She was so used to their reactions that when they didn't come, it took her a while to be like, "Oh, so my mom has changed." It's not that she woke up today in a better mood, it's that she's actually making changes. And she even started referring to it as my healing era. And like, that's the little nickname. And she will say, "Oh, I forget that you're now in your healing era." Right? And that made me even like realize even more. To me, that was like a brain, wow, my brain exploded, because oh wow, so you tell me that it really was me who needed to do this work in order for her to feel more connected, for us to be able to have those difficult conversations, for her to, be able to do her chores and all the things that she needed to do without me asking 1,000 times, just because my approach was different. And if you would have told me that, well, somebody did tell me that basically in the beginning, and I'll be completely honest, I didn't believe it. I was very offended by the fact that they even thought it was me who needed the help.
Mm-hmm. That's a really powerful story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you for listening. It's like, anytime that I remember it, I laugh now, because I'm like, oh, she was that, she was so wise, and she was so right. And then I think about other parents that are in my situation. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about this work, because
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. I've been on that side of, it's them, not me, not even being able to realize or to accept the fact that there's something in my power that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what are things that you can look for to know that this might be for you, right? Like, as a parent, if you're constantly overwhelmed and stressed, this work
Yeah.
definitely for you. If you're yelling more than you want, like, right, this work is for
Mm-hmm.
you.
And I think those are things that have become very um, normalized,
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm.
We've kind of made it this like, oh yeah, being a parent is yelling all the time and being stressed and always being tired and blah 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 blah. It doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be. And I think that's so important for parents to know, and to know that there is a greater parenting journey for you, right? There is so much potential inside of you to be that parent that you've always dreamed of being, and to feel the way that you imagined feeling with your children. And you can achieve that. Like, you can get there no matter how it is now. But yeah,
Yes.
if you're in that zone of always tired, always yelling, feeling like you're just at the end of your rope, please talk to a parent coach. Please. I think another sign that you might be ready for parent coaching is like, you know that you want to change. You are ready for change, you feel open to change, and you feel ready to put an effort to make that change. Like, you don't want things to keep going the status quo anymore. You want to shake it up, and you want to make that transformation.
Yeah, and you might think, in those parents, I know that I was one of them, where you might, you feel that you're open for change, but you don't want to be a cookie cutter parent either, right? You don't necessarily see yourself as a gentle parent, or as a parent that can, speak softly, and it's extremely going, and you might not see yourself at that other extreme, and that might be what's stopping you from doing this work, because am I going to become a parent that I don't even recognize? And I'm here to tell you that you can be whatever type of parents you want to be. And when you start to understand why your kids act the way they do, that softness comes with you, because it comes
Mm-hmm.
from that understanding of this is why they're behaving this way. Every behavior is communication, and you're gonna find yourself being very authentic, but also authentically compassionate for your kids and for yourself. So it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, we're not gonna go from necessarily from this extreme to the other without your permission. We promise you, we're gonna hold your hand the whole way, and you're going to start making these changes slowly but surely, right? By an inch or a mile. We're just
Mm-hmm.
looking for that forward momentum to where you want to be. But please don't let that fear of not recognizing yourself as a parent to stop you either, because I promise you that at the end of the road, you're gonna be actually the parent that you imagine yourself to be in the
Mm-hmm.
first place.
You're going to feel more like yourself.
Yes,
And
definitely.
something that Rebecca Liddon, she is the Giant Institute of Parenting curriculum writer, and something that you'll see all the time in the curriculum when you go through the program, and that will remind you, is that when we're going through this process, we only go as fast as the slowest part of you feels safe going. We're never pushing too fast. Like, yes, we want you in a brave space, and we want you to push a little bit, push that comfort zone a little bit and see where you can go. But we're always going to make sure it feels safe to that piece of you that's like, I'm a little nervous about this. I'm a little scared. We're going to make sure that part is safe first before we go any further. We're never going to push you to go further than you feel okay going.
Yes, we are definitely not there. This is not a cult. We're not going to change your views. And all of the sudden, I love that quote that you just said, because I think that's the one that really convinced me to let myself go with the program, and really accept it. It was like I didn't feel the pressure to go fast. It
Mm-hmm.
was this sense of, if it feels good and it feels safe, then that's how we're going. And another thing that they also said is that if if when you're going through the program, there are things that really don't speak to you, or that at that moment feel too hard or too out there for you, skip them.
Let it go.
And maybe at another point in the future you're gonna come back, which in our case you have lifetime subscription
Mm-hmm.
to our curriculum. You can come back to it at whatever time. And then when maybe in another point you're gonna come back and then see the sense in certain areas that at first they didn't go with you, but we are not making you believe something. We're not making you, we're not trying to convince you of this, this new alternative. We are just showing you a different perspective, other options in your life that you can do, and then you take the ones that serve you, and the rest we just leave them. And we're not, we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to make you put all of those things in your backpack. No, you take what you need, and the rest is okay. And I think that's a great way of seeing, this program, in the sense that, especially I'm talking to moms right now specifically, we already have so much in our plate. We already carry so much in our backpack that something, sometimes just for us to take a tiny bit of what you learn with us might feel like a lot. It might feel like a lot in the moment. And we're here to tell you that it's okay. Just taking that step again is a brave step. And we're here to applaud you and to go with you as fast as you allow us to go. Right? This is parent led.
Mm-hmm.
And you are the ones. We're here. We're gonna provide you with the knowledge that we have, but in the end, we are here to walk this journey with you, and you are the one leading the journey.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better.
No, but yes, I wanted to check also into once the parent, because they have a lot of questions, right? Once they reach out to us, what's the next step? Why, what do we do? How do we handle the whole thing? What's the next step with you when a parent reaches out to you and say, I might be interested?
Yeah, so I think you and me are very similar in this approach. So you can add yours if it's a little bit different. But for me, when you reach out, we're going to schedule a curiosity call, and this is just a free 30-minute call where we'll get to know each other. We can answer any questions that you have about the program, figure out all the logistics of it, and then decide, does this feel like a good fit for us to work together. And we also know lots of other coaches where if it doesn't feel like a good fit personally, but you still want a parent coach, you still want that support, we can refer you to other coaches who might be a little bit better suited to you to help you find that perfect fit.
Yeah, I feel like this we're here. Every parenting coach that I've met, we're very passionate about it, but we are also very much about, um can I help you? Right? This
Mm-hmm.
is a question that we ask ourselves too, and that's why we do
Yeah.
this curiosity call, because we want to learn about you. We want to hear stories. I know I love connecting with other parents. I love, being an ear to listen. Sometimes you just want to vent and say, this is what's happening, and we are able to recognize if, if I'm gonna be of help for you, because we're not here to just, okay, yes, let's do onboarding in this program. No, we want to. If not, we will have in our in our services, just come and schedule it, and that's it. You don't need to do
Mm-hmm.
the first meeting. We really want to know if we can be of service. We really want to
Yeah.
know if we're going to be able to take you where you want to be. And
Mm-hmm.
like you mentioned, we know other people that can help you if we are going. Let's say you started and we get to a part where we feel that you need that extra support. We're also going to suggest that, if you need to go to a therapist to maybe dig a little deeper in some areas, we are able to really identify how we are able to be of service, and we want every parent to get the best out of this program. So we are not putting ourselves first. We're not there to just, offer a service. We are here because we really want you to get the best of the program.
Absolutely. And we want your children to get the best of you.
Yes, I love that. Yes, we want the children to get the best of you. Yes, I love that you said that. Um, And then Ellie, I just want to thank you again for sitting down with me and having this conversation. I know that anytime that we have a conversation, I get very animated. I love how we feed off of each other, and I told you that
Mm-hmm.
before. But before we go, I would like for you to share with our listeners what do you specialize on? Like we mentioned, each parent coach have their own little area. So I would like to definitely hear what do you specialize in, what type of parents that you feel like you can help the most.
Yeah, so I have 6 years of experience as a preschool teacher working with children like 2 to 5 years old. So that is really my niche and specialty. I have a really deep understanding of just all of the milestones and development of that specific time of life. And I also work with highly sensitive families. So whether it's highly sensitive parents or highly sensitive children, I'm a highly sensitive person myself. So that's something that I understand really well. And I would love to help other families like that. And Betty, what kind of families do you work with?
Yeah, well, my group of people I mentioned before is the in-betweeners. I love to work with with the parents that feel a little stuck in the middle of the parent that they are and the one that they want to be. We have a lot of old school from from our parents. We have a lot of old school behaviors when we are raising the kids, and we might not necessarily feel that that's the way that we want to move forward. We want to do something different, but we don't even know where to start. And
Mm-hmm.
I say we because I put myself right in that pool, right? I'm a generational pattern breaker in progress, in progress. And I really want to reach out to those parents, those families that are navigating the tough process of being raised by a completely different generation and trying to raise a completely opposite generation. These kids now, they need a lot more from us, and sometimes I feel like we were not equipped to for all of the things that they need. So I'm here to be like the little bridge in between the two generations and the two styles, and then find that good middle ground where you feel comfortable and you feel that you're doing your best as the parent.
That's powerful. So, where can parents find you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, I'm on social media is at your underscore parenting underscore story. But you can also find me on my website, yourparentingstory.com. And there you can join my Facebook group, The In-Betweeners. You're going to find all my social media. You'll see recordings like this one from us. And if you're interested in listening or hearing a little bit more, this Thursday, April the 24th, depending when you're listening to this, but April the 24th, I'm going to have a webinar as well. You can register on my page, and it's called If I'm Not Strict, Will They Listen? And this one is one I'm very excited about because it talks a lot about the shift. Is that we're gonna have the 5 shifts that you can make at home right now to start seeing a change in yourself and in your kids.
Awesome.
Where can they
Um,
find you, Ellie?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's elliechasecoaching.com, ELLIECHASE coaching.com. And there, you'll find all the information, and then you can click over to the scheduler where you can schedule that curiosity call so we can just get to know each other.
Yes, and they'll love you, Ellie. I know you're gonna impact a lot of families, especially the families like you mentioned, the sensitive and the little ones, because I know the teenagers a lot more and they're, a different ball game. But that the age that you're mentioning, this is the foundation one. And I know
Mm-hmm.
a lot of parents feel very nervous about the impact that they're making in the early ages, and
Yeah.
you are so soothing that I know you're gonna bring them a lot of confidence navigating those first years where we are putting so much into them. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And I know you have that expertise for the teenagers where I think a lot of people couldn't even imagine having that type of connection with their teenager the way that you described. So for you to be able to help parents find that in those tricky years is really powerful.
Thank you. Yes, so we support each other, and I can't wait for our next episode. I know that for sure we'll have another conversation. We'll have to see what themes. So if you are seeing this in
Absolutely.
YouTube or everywhere, comment what do you want to hear next. We
Mm-hmm.
are very open to new things that you want to explore. And let us know what you want to see next.
Yeah. We'll talk to you next time.